The NBA All-Star Weekend just ended, which means there's like 25-ish games left in the NBA season. We're starting to get down to the wire, and I wanted to make a video on if the playoffs started today, what I think would happen, right? So, as of right now, if the playoffs were to start today, the matchups would be Lakers-Grizzlies, Nuggets-Mavericks, Clippers-Thunder, and Jazz-Rockets in the West. In the East, it would be Bucks, Magic, Raptors, Nets, Celtics, Pacers, and Heat, 76ers. Starting with the West, starting at the top, you got the Lakers, Grizzlies. I think what the Grizzlies have done this year has shocked everybody. However, they do have the hardest remaining schedule in the NBA, so that's something to look out for. As a biased Blazers fan, I hope that we can get that 8th spot from them. But if it ended today and the Lakers played the Grizzlies, I don't think the Grizzlies win any games. I think it's 4-0 Lakers. The Grizzlies have a bright future, and it's really all coming together with not just Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson, but Valanciunas has been really good. Dylan Brooks is a really solid player. And then you got Brandon Clark, who's been really good his rookie season. So they're on the up and up, but as of this year, I think the Lakers beat them 4-0. 2-7. Right now, the Nuggets would play the Mavericks. I think that game goes 6 or 7. I think Luka Doncic alone, if he can play how he's played in the regular season, can give the Nuggets problems. They have a lot of good, or not a lot, but they have some good wing defenders. They got Grant and Torrey Craig. He can play some defense, but it's really going to depend on if Porzingis can do anything in the playoffs. I think he could cause some problems for the Nuggets on defense because they're probably going to have to put Jokic on Porzingis, and Jokic is not. He doesn't want to guard perimeter guys, so that could cause the Nuggets issues. But overall, I think the Nuggets probably win that in 6 games, I would say. But man, the Mavericks, they got a lot of things to look forward to in the future. And then you got the Clippers Thunder 3-6. Going back to the Nuggets real quick, I think if the Nuggets played the Thunder at the 2-7, the Mavericks moved up to 6 and played the Clippers. I think if the Nuggets played the Thunder could give them problems. I think that experience would be similar to when the Nuggets played the Spurs in the first round last year, and I think they went 7 games. I think that the Thunder are built like that. They got a lot of vets. They got a lot of old guys that have been there, been in the playoffs. So I think they could potentially give the Nuggets some problems. But right now, I think the Nuggets beat the Mavericks in about 6. The Clippers Thunder, I think the Clippers are a bad matchup for the Thunder. I don't think Gallinari can guard Kawhi or Paul George. It'll be interesting to see how the Thunder play against the defensive-minded Clippers team. One X factor here is if Paul George is Paul George, not just because he's notoriously a playoff choker, but he's been injured all year. He's had problems with the shoulder and other things. I think they said he's only played 9 of the last 18 games at like 24 minutes a game, so it'll be interesting to see if he'll be ready for playoffs because they definitely need them if they want to win the championship this year, which I think they very well could. And then lastly in the West, you got the Jazz Rockets. I think this is going to be the most competitive series. I think it goes 7 games. They're probably going to put Mitchell on Harden and then Conley on Westbrook. That's going to be the big matchup, but one matchup that may go under-noticed is if the Rockets can play Gobert off the floor. You know, the Rockets are all in on their 5-out, and we're going to play small. So it's going to be interesting because you got Gobert, the 2-time, potential 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, but he could get played out the series completely if he's not effective on defense because you can't roam the paint and leave PJ Tucker wide open in the corner because that's pretty much the only spot he can hit shots at. So that's definitely going to be the X factor in that series, depending on how effective Gobert can be and how effectively the Rockets can take him out the game. But Harden's got to show up. Westbrook's got to show up if they want to win. And the guards on the Jazz have to show up if they want to win. But I think that series is going to go 7 games. And Westbrook already hates the Utah fans and has had issues in the past. So I can't wait for that series. That one's going to be really good. But if I had to pick a team, I'd probably go Rockets, which is funny to say because they don't have anybody over like 6'7" in their starting lineup or something like that. But I think Covington, Tucker, and Daniel House, I think that's a good defensive 3 players to surround Westbrook and Harden with. So we'll see how that series goes, but I think it goes 7, and I think the Rockets win. In the East, starting at the top, you got Bucks Magic. I think this is a sweep, similar to how they took care of the Pistons last year. I think this is 4 games, Bucks 4-0. Not much to talk about. The only thing is interesting is the Magic have some lengthy bigs that could potentially give Giannis some problems, but if we're talking from a talent perspective, Jonathan Isaac and Aaron Gordon can't really stop Giannis, you would think. So I think Bucks 4-0. Then you got Raptors Nets 2-7. I think this one could go 6, maybe 7 games, because I mean the obvious X factor is if Kyrie's healthy. If Kyrie's healthy and they sneak in at the 7, who knows if he could go. I mean, he could potentially go ballistic and average 35 points a game in that series. The Raptors are really good on defense, but Kyrie Irving is Kyrie Irving. That's a dangerous 7 seed to match up with. They also got Dinwiddie, and they got shooters. They got some good bigs. That's a dangerous matchup to meet up in the 2-7 for the Raptors. But I think the Raptors win in 6. I don't think the Nets have enough this year. Obviously, next year when they have KD, they'll probably be a title contender, title favorite. But for this year, I think they make a valiant effort but lose in 6 games. Then you got the Celtics Pacers. I thought a while about this one if the Pacers even had a chance, and I don't really think they do. I think the Celtics win in 5. I think if Victor Oladipo can turn up a little bit and become what he was, last year, then they can definitely stretch the series out. But if he's not to the point where he's, an all-star caliber player, I don't think the Pacers have enough. They do have interesting matchups for the Celtics because the Celtics got a lot of wings, and they got Cantor's a horrible defender, and the Pacers got Sabonis and Miles Turner still. So I think that'll be interesting, but I think the Celtics win in probably 5. And lastly, which I think will be the best series in the first round of the whole playoffs, you got the Heat 76ers. This matchup is interesting because the 76ers, roster-wise, may have the most talented team in the NBA. But I just don't trust Ben Simmons. I mean, that's really what it is. I don't think Ben Simmons can lead a team past a player like Jimmy Butler on the Heat. I think the X factor is really going to be Ben Simmons because, Embiid's going to be on Bam for the series, more than likely. And then they've had problems with having Horford be effective anyway, so I don't know how effective he's going to be. And then, the Heat just got a lot of shooters. They got a lot of young guys. They got a lot of rookies playing big minutes, but they got a lot of shooters. And the 76ers have virtually no shooters. So it's really going to depend on if the young Heat guys can hit shots outside in the playoffs in an away game maybe. They're going to need to steal some games from Philly because Philly's talent alone will win them 2 games, at least, I would say. I think Jimmy's got to do something big for the Heat to win because the last thing you really want to do is have to trust Duncan Robinson, Tyler Herro. So it'll depend on if Kendrick Nunn and Bam and Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, if they can shoot the lights out like they do in the regular season, that'll help them, propel them. Also, they got some good bench players, Crowder, Dragic. You know, they got a lot of options. I think the Heat are really deep. But I really don't want to bet against the 76ers here because you got number one, the best player, Embiid. You could argue Butler's the best player on the floor, but if I'm having to pick a player, I'm picking Embiid. And you got Ben Simmons, who everyone thinks is going to be a superstar, but in the playoffs, I mean, we've seen it. He's had good games, but he's had bad games. You know, it's going to depend on how find a way to be effective in the playoffs against a team that knows his weaknesses. They're going to dare him to shoot threes. He's not going to shoot any, but they're literally probably just going to sit in the paint. I don't know how effective Ben Simmons can be against a Heat team that's really well coached, that has the shooting that the 76ers don't have, even though they did trade for Glenn Robinson and Alec Burks, but I don't think that propels them enough. They have Korkmaz too, but overall, I think the Heat win. I think the Heat win that in 7 games. It'll be interesting to see how Miami handles Philadelphia's size, but I think when it comes down to it, I think Miami's going to outcoach them. I think Spoelstra is going to kill Brett Brown. I think it's going to be all about whether or not Brett Brown can make adjustments playing against a team that can run 5 out most of the time other than Bam. So I got Heat in 7 in that series. Second round coming later this week, and that's all I got. So see ya.
Paint and the dunk by Brittany Griner.
It's been all one-way traffic here. They've really been lights out offensively.
And there's no telling.